Hey everyone, in this video we will be talking about the definition of casual gaming and what we should consider to be casual gaming in 2023. But first, if you want to see more videos on casual gaming, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Now, the definition of casual gaming is honestly a bit of a mess. If you type into Google, "What is casual gaming?" you'll be greeted by a range of definitions. Wikipedia suggests that a casual game is one that targets the mass market audience. Urban Dictionary, they suggest that a casual gamer is one who plays games but aren't competitive. Another result from computerhope.com states that a casual gamer is one who enjoys a video game without investing significant time into it. The Discord bot Clyde, powered by the language learning models that are ever so popular at the moment, states a casual gamer is someone who plays video games but does not devote a significant amount of time or effort to the hobby, and typically plays games primarily for entertainment or relaxation. Casual gamers do not typically invest a lot of money or time into gaming, and generally play games that are easy to learn and quick to play, such as mobile games, puzzle games, or casual multiplayer games. How about outside of Google? Ask your friends what they consider to be casual gaming. Some might state that a casual gamer is someone who doesn't exceed a certain amount of time gaming per week and will provide an arbitrary number like, let's say, 20 hours per week. If you were to go under that 20, you would be a casual. If you were to go over, you might be considered hardcore. Meanwhile, your PC gaming friends might consider the concept of gaming on a console in a more relaxed setting, such as on the sofa, to be casual gaming, and to be hardcore you would need that mouse and keyboard. Mobile games are also perceived by many as casual games, due to the complete lack of player engagement that is often built into those games. The point that I'm trying to make here is that there is no set definition for what casual gaming really is, as everyone with their own voice has their very own definition. But this creates a bit of a conundrum for a fairly new gaming YouTube channel that has, at the time of writing, referred to itself as a fresh new casual gaming channel. That's me, by the way. Sounds like a bit of a hole I've dug for myself, right? That's the purpose of this video, to both lay the groundwork for future videos and to attempt to establish the definition of casual gaming as I see it. So, the mess that is the current definitions. So, what is my definition of casual gaming? Let's start by going through some of the suggestions I found earlier and figure it out from there, shall we? After all, if I just jump straight in with the answer right here, you're going to leave this video without understanding how this conclusion was formed, right? So, Wikipedia's definition of casual games, being those that target a mass market audience, just doesn't sit right. Targeting a mass market audience simply means to just target what game genres are the most popular and or what sells the most. By definition, we would end up with games like FIFA, Call of Duty and Elden Ring being the top casual games of 2022 in the United Kingdom, simply because they are the ones that sold the most. Urban Dictionary, if we were to look at their full definition and not the snippet from earlier, they seem to suggest that a gamer is there for the social experience and will put little effort into whatever game that they are playing. This leaves out single-player exclusive games that have little to no social elements and suggests that casual gamers might not enjoy a challenge due to the effort requirement. Computerhope.com feels like they have their fingers on the pulse with them talking about gaming without investing significant time into games. However, further into their definition, they nosedive onto how casual games tend to be those found on mobile phones and web browser games, with rarely any more than 2 buttons to press when playing the game. And of course, going back to Clyde's example from earlier, Clyde falls within the same spectrum as computerhope.com at first talking about the time restrictions and then further going heavy into mobile gaming. So, as we can see, we have a bunch of conflicting information already. Are casual games multiplayer or single player? Are they on console, PC, or mobile? Each definition seems to imply they are exclusive to those categories. Of course, we can't just pick and choose which definition we want to use on a daily basis. We need something a bit more solid. So let's start here. What exactly is casual gaming? So how does this even work? The definitions I've previously used alternate between defining the person and the game. Well, the answer we seek is a combination of them both and more. We can see from these definitions that we are leaning towards casual gamers being those with a reduced amount of time that can be allocated to playing games and would gravitate towards experiences that would enable them to pick up and put down the game on minimal notice. The very reason why mobile games are so popular. Thus, the version of casual gaming that I'll be working with is one whereby the gamer has, for whatever the reason, a limited amount of time that can be spent on enjoying video games. These pockets of time may even be short and subject to frequent interruptions. So, we have our definition for who a casual gamer is, but the title of this video is What is Casual Gaming? So we need the other half of this equation, that being the game and how it can be played. What follows is a handful of guidelines that can help determine if a game is compatible for casual gaming. Notice the word compatible here, as we are not looking to outright define what a casual game is, but the experience as a whole. So first up, we have pick up and put down. The principle here is that the game can either be suspended, paused, saved, or exited with ease with minimal notice. Historically, this would only have included games that would allow the user to save at almost any point within the game. But with modern consoles and the features that they come with, almost any single player game can easily be suspended at the console level and returned to days later. For example, any single player game on the Steam Deck can be suspended by simply pressing the power button to put the console to sleep. Meanwhile, the Nintendo Switch automatically suspends games when you return to the home screen or put the device to sleep. Of course, this would exclude multiplayer games on these consoles, as they cannot be quit quite so easily without impacting other people's gameplay experience. This is where online mobile games such as Eve Echoes have their place, as these online multiplayer games have the flexibility to quit on short notice due to them being on the mobile platform. Next up, we have the time to story completion. Many games are increasing in their size, and it feels like every month now a new game is announced that shows off how much more content it has than those who came before it. A game that takes upwards of 30 hours could take many gamers months to complete due to the limitations on their spare time. And that's assuming that they stick with the game that long and don't move on to something else that they can complete in a shorter time span. There's a reason why games like Metroid Prime, which can be 100% completed in under 20 hours, can be so very popular. Elden Ring, for example, on howlongtobeat.com, has an average story completion time of 56.5 hours. As good as this game may well be, a large number of players will never exceed the 30 hours mark before moving on to something else and abandoning the game unfinished. Now, of course, some games don't have a story to complete, or maybe this story is an afterthought and is slapped on for the sake of completionists. Either way, this is intended to be a guideline instead of an outright rule. So, next up we have the time it takes to do stuff. A lot of 3D games today, most notably those with an open world design, tend to feel like walking simulators at times, as the simple act of traversing across these open landscapes can result in half of your games simply being spent walking and not really enjoying oneself. Honestly, I can't imagine how many days I spent just walking in Skyrim back in the day. The point is, those with time constraints on their gaming activities want to get the most enjoyment possible out of their games in that limited time frame. The point here is that the player is able to engage with the content immediately and isn't presented with uninteresting padding throughout the experience. This is where genres such as 2D platformers and Metroidvanias have become increasingly popular, as the 2D content is delivered to the player significantly faster. Honestly, this one is a tad hard to explain in just a few words. Again, this isn't intended to mean that casual games are exclusive to 2D games. From everything I've said so far, despite never having played it myself, I would consider Doom on the Nintendo Switch to fall under my definitions for compatibility for casual gaming. So moving on to portability. Much like the pick up and put down aspects covered here, the game title itself has but a little influence, as this is down to the hardware that it is being played on. Portability is the reason for Nintendo's success in the gaming industry. You need only look at the success of its portable platforms to recognise the importance of portables. That said, this isn't a requirement, but being available on a portable device definitely grants additional value to a casual gamer. After all, not everyone has a dedicated gaming room that they can retreat to, and being able to play the games in a variety of settings will have its perks for a casual gamer. Next up, and this one's going to feel somewhat obvious, you actually have to play the game. We've all noticed it. Over the years, various idle or AFK titles have been released and have grown quite significantly. These have been responsible for the idea among many that casual gaming is about having a game in your pocket that you don't engage with and instead plays itself. But all we have to ask ourselves is, what is a gamer? Or a game, even? The majority of definitions I can find for these imply that there needs to be a certain level of interactivity and engagement across both of the terms. So, if there is barely any level of engagement with the player, does it even meet the criteria to even be called a game for these purposes? If all you are doing is logging in, hitting the start button and then proceeding to let an in-game script do everything for you, then you're not playing it, you're not interacting with it. You're just doing one of the daily chores for an application that has you hooked with fear of missing out mechanics. So, moving on to the next stage, let's give some examples. So to summarise, we have our guidelines that help us define what the casual gaming experience actually is. And those are pick up and put down, time to story completion, time it takes to do stuff, portability, and actually play the game. So let's have a look at some examples and see how they fit into these guidelines for casual gaming. Of course, I won't be including any idle titles here, as these automatically fall foul of the guidelines due to the lack of player engagement. First up, we have Metroid Prime Remastered on the Nintendo Switch. It is a single-player experience on a console that allows the game to be suspended at any moment and returned to days later. Its story can be completed in under 15 hours, and the game's lore is entirely optional via the scan visor, allowing the player to focus on gameplay should they choose. This game is compatible for casual gaming. That said, however, if we were to look back to the original Metroid Prime on the GameCube, due to its lack of portability and lack of access to a suspend feature, the game would be less compatible with a casual gaming mindset, due to the fact that the save locations within the game are fixed, and they could quite easily be 10 to 15 minutes apart depending on whereabouts on the map you happen to be at that point in time. The point here is that the game, depending upon its console, can be casual or not casual. Moving on to Hades, a popular roguelike game that autosaves upon entering each room, each of which can be cleared typically within a couple of minutes with fast-paced and thoroughly engaging content that leaves you with little time to sit around and wonder, fits well within our guidelines. Add to this its availability on handheld platforms such as the Steam Deck and the Nintendo Switch for added portability. How about something a tad older? Let's look at a home console game from the Dark Ages, when being able to save the game whenever you want was but a mere pipe dream. Yes, I'm going to be using a second Metroid example in this video. Metroidvania games have as part of their design fixed locations whereby the player can save, and the very first Metroid is no exception. This would mean meaningful progress could easily be lost when gaming sessions are cut short. Modern gaming devices with emulators installed, whether that be a 3DS or another portable platform that supports the use of save states, all of a sudden these older games that were inaccessible to those with less gaming time can not only be saved at any point, but also played anywhere due to their newfound portability. Lastly, we have EVE Online on a desktop computer. This game is online only and cannot be quit without in-game consequences on short notice. Story completion isn't an issue, but the majority of its content consumes a significant amount of time to achieve anything meaningful within the game. This game has historically been not compatible with the casual gaming mindset, but with the inclusion of the Steam Deck, which enables the player to play the game in more sociable settings, and the short-form content that is the abyssal Dead Spaces, which guarantee meaningful gameplay sessions of under 30 minutes, can now be considered compatible inside of these parameters. Throw in staying close to a trade hub to further reduce the required time investment within the game. Notice what I did with this last example. An MMO that is considered by many as so hardcore that it earned the nickname Spreadsheets Online can, under certain circumstances, be considered compatible with casual gamers. It would still have certain restraints when quitting the game on too short a notice, so it would only be considered partially compatible with those casual gaming. So, moving on to the conclusion. A casual gamer can be anyone who enjoys video games, but due to their circumstances lacks the spare time to thoroughly enjoy the games that they are playing. Games themselves aren't outright defined as casual or not, but are instead paired with the gaming hardware to determine if the experience as a whole is compatible with the casual gamer's needs. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for future casual gaming videos. Until then, see you next time.